back again.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. The end of this course, and you have a concept map.
I
here.
do have a concept map.
All right. Why did you have to do a concept map? Where does this lie in the overall scheme of the course?
Yeah, so the whole point of the concept map is not necessarily to regurgitate the entire course content into a summative, it's to make connections between different parts of the course.
Okay.
And so what I've done with my concept map is I have each of the units color-coded.
Okay.
It's messy, but it's supposed to be messy.
Yeah.
And I have a central theme.
Yeah.
And this central theme I use to connect everything in the course together like a giant web.
Gotcha.
To show that everything is interconnected. And so the connections are the key to this assignment.
Question. You just said it's meant to be messy. Why?
Well, it's meant to be messy because our thoughts aren't really straight, linear, orderly all the time. And this is supposed to be our thoughts. It's supposed to be what we've taken out of the course as students and how we can actually connect things together, you know?
All right. So the theme that you focused in on is?
It's human dependence on natural processes. So what I did with that was I took different areas of human life that are especially reliant on different biological processes and different different things that we learn in the biology course, such as human reproduction, healthcare, and then food and agriculture.
Gotcha.
And so what I did was, and most of the connections down here to the human reproduction are to our genetic stuff. We talked about reproduction and various genetic things that are related to reproduction. And that's the very simplified version, I guess, for the video.
Yeah.
But, and then for this diversity and evolution, I talked a bit about how reproduction can create diversity in humans. I talked about how the diversity stuff can be connected to food and agriculture because we talked about a bit about sustainable farming. For the body system stuff, it's connected to our body systems down here. It's connected to healthcare because, you know, it's your human body, and so you can connect that to healthcare very easily.
Yeah.
And for the plants unit, that's the 5th unit of the course, you can connect that to food and agriculture pretty easily. But then there's also connections between all of the different units and different aspects of all the different units. It really shows how everything in the course can be tied together right at the end.
So this is instead of an exam. For your type of learning, some people prefer the structure of an exam, other people like the openness of this. What's your preference?
Well, it really depends on the course.
Right.
I would say for something like math, it's very hard to do something that's not just an exam because math is it's theoretical, it's all calculations. And so it's a little bit harder to create some kind of creative project out of that. And so I prefer the exam format for math, or at least some kind of maybe broken up smaller tests to summarize the course. But for a course that's really about big concepts and a course that's about ideas and thinking in a more abstract way, I like this kind of concept because it allows you to connect all of these ideas together.
Okay. 15 years time, when you think back on a course like this, what do you think you'll remember about it?
I think I'll probably remember. It's a tough question. I would say I would remember from the very beginning of the course, the thinking tasks that we would do, where we got to talk about evolution and diversity and we got to figure things out for ourselves. We really got to figure things out and make the connections ourselves. And that ties into this concept map here, where we're making all the connections ourselves.
Yeah.
She didn't tell us, here's all the connections you have to make. You have to explain all these connections.
Yeah.
She said, make as many connections as you can within the course. And for example, by understanding how, random example, by understanding how the concept of meiosis, which is the cell division that creates gametes, how that's related to passing on genes and to different genetic problems we did. If you can understand that there's a connection there, that really demonstrates that you understand the content of the course itself. And so I'll probably remember not necessarily each individual lesson that we did or each individual thing, but just broadly major themes from the course because, in the end, we summarized it all and we brought all the themes together and connected it all.
Interesting that you should bring up the thinking test because there's a fundamentally social aspect to the way Response sets up her teaching. Well, it's not her teaching; it's she puts you in groups and you talk through things. For you, that's a good approach.
Yes,
Why?
because I like to think. I
Aha.
like talking. I like thinking. I like ideas. I'm not a very good memorizer.
Okay.
And I've never, like, I can memorize, but a lot of the time when I have to memorize something, it's sort of demotivating and
Yeah.
demoralizing, and so it makes me enjoy the class a little bit less. And when I memorize something, usually I'll forget about it a week later after the test. Whereas if I get to actually think something through, I enjoy it more, and so the experience stays with me longer, which should be the goal of any teacher. It's information retention. You should be able to remember the most important things from your class 10 years after the class is over,
And may-
probably.